welcome back to Contact. I have a fish. I guess I should say I have another fish because I have many fish around here. I'm getting to the point, I feel like maybe I should dress up the station as some sort of like, I don't know, sea anemone or some such thing. But anyway, I have a fish. You may recognize parts of this fish as the drone I built last week, which, you know, most of it's the same, but I realized if I'm going to be fitting with a theme, I've got to go all in on the theme, so this has to be a little fish. And I kind of went with a pufferfish design, partially because it is full of explosives, so it will explode eventually. But yeah, I think it works pretty well. Cute little thing, and it should be set up with all manner of handy features that I can use to make this thing, well, an effective fighter - distraction while I shoot it with big guns. So yeah, we've got that. I've also repaired the Stingray, though the Stingray is going to get some upgrades to it so that we can deploy these battlefish more effectively. I think I'll go ahead and get started on that. So my plan, I have this like weird ribbing stuff going on, and it's always felt like a kind of an awkward decorative afterthought. It's not really had a purpose. This isn't going to necessarily give it a real purpose, but it's going to make use of the space because these little middle bits are perfect for connectors. So my plan is essentially, I will have, I guess 8 of those drones, 4 docked onto 4 sort of main ribs up here, and then 4 more down here. So with 8 drones, what I can do is as I get into combat, I deploy them all, they, head off and attack or distract the enemy. They're kind of out in the open, nice and easy. In theory, I could try and put them inside to protect them, but if I'm being attacked, the whole purpose of the drones is that they're the things that get attacked. So I might as well not, I don't need to hide them inside because if there is a threat, they need to be facing the threat. I do need to be a little careful in here. There are no lights down the middle, so that was fine, but I do have these things, which I'm probably just gonna, well, the letters I'll have to replace. I did just have a thought. So this is the inset connector, but it has a conveyor port on the side and on the bottom. Which means, annoyingly, I can't just like run a line and have conveyors in the middle. How many of these drones do I want? I could, so instead of putting these conveyors in the middle, I could put them on each side. So that would be 8 on the top and then 8 drones on the bottom. That feels like a lot. I mean, it feels like a lot, but it's probably not a bad idea. And what I could always do is have have controls for 2 sets of drones. So these bottom drones I can deploy, save the drones on top as sort of a second wave or an emergency, have some in reserve for whatever purpose I may need them. It's excessive and silly, but I think that's going to be the most elegant way to do this. And it does give a little bit more purpose to this weird armor shaping. I'm going to depressurize the med bay just a little bit, but It's sealed off at least. There should be... well... a conveyor... I don't love how the piping in here works. Because that is just... It's piped, I believe... No, it's not straight off the med bay. Because this med bay doesn't have a bit on top. No. This is gonna mean I have to get rid of this turret, though. Well... It should be fine. Oh. Okay, unless it isn't. Right? Repair welders should be off before making any heavy modifications. And actually, the piping for down here is going to be even worse because that welder is, well, in the wrong spot for what I need to do. Do I get rid of the welder? I could. So, there was another sort of idea that was offered for this ship. And that was essentially have some sort of railgun, or a railgun's probably the best option because it's got the longest range. Basically have a built-on sniper turret or sniper gun. I put the turret part in myself. The benefit of that would be that I can hopefully take out any defenses on any of these things from a much further range on any of the unidentified signals. And there's been a theory floated that if I can disable their communications equipment, i.e. their antennas, I may be able to keep the bases from bringing in drones. So I like the idea of essentially a underslung heavy gun where I get into range, pick off anything, and then go in for the kill. So I really have to decide. I mean, more drones is more better. But more drones is also more effort. It's more drones to lose in each engagement. I can always reverse this course later. And... well, not have any steel plate. Yeah, I think I just got rid of all that. I can always change my mind. But I think I won't put the conveyors down here. I'll stick with 8. Being able to launch 8 independent drones should be enough. I will go ahead... well, if I have to... Oh, and I just dug all this out. Because actually, if I have to get rid of a turret, I wanted... the bottom one's where I want that big gun. But I'd have... whatever. We're complaining over minor inconvenience. Make it so you can't get more ammo. Take your ammo. This turret's gone. It could be handy having a repair system for the big turret too.
Inventory full.
Alright. Turret, conveyor. I can run some of this just straight pipe through here. Which I should weld as I go. Alright. So now from the outside, 8 little connectors. Should be perfectly set up for wherever that drone went. There you are. Yeah, should be good. Now let's go ahead, set up this turret, which should be fairly straightforward. I need a rotor, a hinge, camera, and the gun. Conveniently, I can get cargo through those things. I'm gonna name these just so I can more easily set up the controller. I think I'm just going to have the railgun sort of underslung. Oh. Okay, never mind. The spot that should be a cargo port is not a cargo port when you undersling it. Oh, that's annoying. I kind of wanted it like this. I mean, I could fit it sideways. Then maybe greeble up one side. Don't love that. There is also the mild issue of shooting forward. I mean, I don't want it sticking out crazy far. But maybe sticking out crazy far is the better option. I could have it like that, using the conveyor on the back, and then just rotate the hinge, which would actually be nice and flush, except for it hits that turret. This also means, unless I rotate the turret like all the way back, this welder won't do anything, which maybe isn't the worst thing. This welder should hopefully keep these bits intact, and they're sort of the real worry. Speaking of worry, just while I'm here, have that extended so that it's got hopefully better clearance. How bad is this? Yeah, nope, it hits. Okay, let's try this the other way. And that is... nope, not that. Essentially, wrap my conveyoring around. It adds a block in the way, which I don't love. But I can then do that. That helps the gun clear that turret. But it's definitely like awkwardly
Energy
way
critical.
down there. Huh. Hold on, I just had an idea. Is the railgun? Yes. There's a small grid and large grid railgun. I think I go through here to find the info I want. So railgun in small grid. Okay. Small grid railgun can fire 1,400 meters. Large grid has the 2-kilometer range. If I'm right... oh no, hold on. The artillery gun also has a 2-kilometer range. Oh. I wonder what is more accurate, a railgun or artillery. I would guess railgun, because the whole, if it's better, it should be better. But it doesn't necessarily say more accurate, just maximum penetration. So it may be that railguns can pierce pretty much anything. The artillery can pierce a bit.
No energy.
Uh-oh. Anyway, as I was saying, I think maybe railgun is not a way to go. Because the artillery gun, same range, much more aesthetic. Yeah, just make sure that that is actually a connection. That's much more sort of small and inline. In practice, I don't even need... Hold on. What does... Yeah, the artillery turret has a 2-kilometer range as well. So I don't even need to make this a custom turret. I could use a default turret with artillery. I just really don't know. I think, partially because it'll take a while to do this, I am going to run a simulation. And in that simulation, we can quickly determine if a railgun is more accurate than an artillery gun. Alright, so what we have here is the baby beluga with an addition. That addition being the large railgun, if you didn't notice. Which is very slowly charging. I think it's almost there. Anyway, big railgun. I have, if we look down our camera, zoom way in, there is a target 1.95 kilometers away. My plan, essentially, is to aim at that, fire the railgun, and then probably switch out for an artillery gun and maybe the artillery turret, and compare how accurately I can hit the target. So it looks like our gun is ready. The camera is backwards, which makes this a little awkward. Let me turn down the gyro for this precision maneuvering. Alright. Camera is dead center on the target. Here we go. Okay. And it looks like we hit just above, or well, just below, above from the ship's perspective, just above the target. So that's pretty darn accurate. The camera is essentially a block above the gun. So that was pretty much straight line, which I guess makes sense for a railgun. So now, I'll go ahead. Paste in our next target, and might as well set up a third, and then find the ship. Okay, so next is we'll do the fixed artillery gun, which I can't put a camera on top of, so I guess the camera goes there. Oh god, this orientation is very confusing. Okay. Oh boy. Yeah, so everything is 90 degrees, so right does that. Okay. God, the little bit of drift doesn't help. Real low. Come on. Oh. Good enough. Hopefully this won't be close enough that I need to be this accurate. Alright. Here we go. Yeah. So that clipped the edge. I'm gonna fire again and see what happens. That time it was pretty spot on. Maybe once more with feeling. That may have gone through the same hole. So okay, so this gun might be as accurate as the railgun. At least close enough that it'll be serviceable. Now the last thing to try is going to be the turret. And the main benefit of using the turret is, well, it's the same reason I want a turret in general, so I don't have to align the ship entirely. I can just aim with the gun. You know, turrets are useful. So yeah, more precision. I do have a nicer targeting overlay. And the controls make sense because I'm not moving the ship backwards from what I expect. Alright. Test firing. Okay, that clipped the side, I think. If it even hit. I almost feel like these aren't reaching the target. I did put the right type of gun on, right? No. That is the wrong type of gun. Oh boy. That's the gun the ship already had. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Okay. Real test. Here we go. Okay. So that looks like down and to the left. That looked well off. Yeah, that didn't even hit. That looked pretty good. I think I took out, yeah, I took out the beacon behind the center of the thing. And that's another far offshoot. So it looks like the accuracy is actually a fixed gun versus a turret. The turrets have the same range, but less accuracy. Which is kind of annoying, but that might actually mean that my best bet is to build a player-made turret with a single artillery gun on it and use that as my sniping gun. Okay, well I think that's useful info, so exit on the simulation back to the real world. So I'm gonna hook it up with the back conveyor. I'm basically doing the thing I didn't want to do previously, but I think it'll work a little better because this is a shorter gun. And what this means is I have this area up here where I can put a camera. So the camera's in a spot that makes sense. Should be nice and easy. It'll even mean that it's in the orientation I'd expect. So if I then send this down... Yeah. So that gun stowed doesn't look awkward, which is good. Maybe put some little caps on the sides, which partially it'll just look good. But I also would, if something fires on this from the sides, it should offer a little bit of protection. It's okay. Got that. Let's get a turret controller on and set up, and then we'll see how that gun feels down there. This is also kind of nice because it'll replace my sort of siding top turret. I can leave all of those main turrets sort of doing their own thing. This spot may work well. That is not the thing I thought I was clicking. So, custom turret controller. Just because I like having it, we'll have the targeting info on there. So, because I named these, azimuth should be side to side, elevation should be up and down. Camera, I didn't name. It's gonna be a pain to not do looking at it. While I'm down here, let's go ahead. The rotor can probably spin 180 degrees. Gonna limit the hinge so that its upper limit is, or I guess lower limit. Let's go -5, so I can arc pretty much all the way just over straight down. Then spin all the way around. I think if that one shares inertia tensor, I think that should make it work as I hope. So that should be all the things. The artillery gun is what we need. I don't need it to aim at the sun. I don't think I'm going to turn AI aiming on for this. I think this is solely a me-controlled turret. Okay, camera looks good. Up and down controls are correct. Left and right are inverted of what I'd expect. But that's fairly easy to fix. So that's our azimuth. We set that to -9. Yep. Now everything makes sense. I am curious of something. There is a setup actions. What does setup actions on this do? My guess is it's has to do with, like, if it detects that it's locked something. I don't know. What I'd love to be able to do is set up a essentially return thing, so every time I leave control of this turret, the rotors and hinges return to stowed position. Yeah, unfortunately it's not looking like I have any tool tips that explain what this does. We won't worry about it for now. It shouldn't be that big of an issue. So last thing to do is finally make use of this this bay that I built. Get some automated printing happening. As yeah, I just have a big old open hole in the roof. So, and if I recall correctly this design, I'm gonna need those blocks open. So this system of printer, it's designed, basically this is designed to be a printing hangar bay. So it's, you know, a functional hangar bay where you could land ships, but it also has the equipment to print. That means that the printing equipment needs to be able to get out of the way of, you know, the ships and the things. So we do that with a hinge, which also allows us to convert to small grid. Onto that hinge, well, first let's point it the correct way. So on this hinge will be pistons. And basically I need the length of the pistons to go until they're pretty much just in line with, or just above, the connector. I can't remember. It may just be 2. Yeah, I think 2 will work. I could potentially offset it with some blocks if I need to. So, on to here.
Energy
We
low.
will have a merge block. Hopefully that'll be low enough. We'll find out. Actually, we can find out fairly easily. Because, yep, ship printer welders should be this room. If that merge block is welded... Okay, it's not welded. But... Ah.
Health low.
Okay, right. Welders. Let's put a button. That'll make it easier to do this. And look at that. Convenience. Okay, welders off. Good. So what I was saying before, if I stick another merge block down there, if that block welds, then this works. Crap. Okay. See, this is why we do some testing, to really iron out the kinks. And actually, this isn't strictly necessary because I can do this. I can put this anywhere on this subgrid. I'm gonna put the projector in there first, then have our merge block. Projector is obviously going to project the grid. It's important it has to be on the final subgrid. So now,
Energy critical.
if I stick an unwelded merge block down, blam. Alright. So that level is within welding range, which means as the pistons pull up slowly, whatever I'm projecting will be welded. So for sake of convenience, I'm just going to have this all manually controlled. So we have to reverse our pistons, and then that is the merge block for the ship printer, on off. So I could set this up to be automatic so that I just press one button and it prints a ship. I've even set this style of thing up before where I have different buttons and I can print different ships. And it was a whole complex system that was really kind of cool, and you can find on my workshop as part of this ship that is showing on the screen now. Anyway, this should work as it is. Let's set up our projector. So we should, if we just rotate this around and align it, which will be easier once I can figure out which way it's pointing. Okay. Alright, that's looking good. You can see I've got a little merge block up top. So with that in position, can I also showcase? Yep. You can see a little surprise in there. So, which might be a bad idea, having a bunch of warheads be the front of the ship. But the idea, it's similar to the general idea, premise of the drone. So this thing will launch. I can't remember if I set it all up, actually. Okay, let's double check real quick. So we have our flight controller, which is set up to do, basically to just go full speed. We have two combat controllers, one for normal fighting, where it's basically just gonna circle around an enemy. I can probably have it, let's do 500 meters. That's probably better. So I've left all this as just default because there are no static weapons. This should mean that the drone faces forward, which is good because all the juicy bits are in the back here. But the turrets will basically just operate as normal turrets and attack whatever they want to attack, which is good for me. Do I have them set up doing weapons? Yes. So the main trick of this little drone is this event controller ramming speed, which basically is looking once the guns are out of ammo, watching both of those with the AND gate, so both turrets have to be out of ammo. But once they're both out of ammo, it will I think no, this is correct. No, it's not. See, it's good I checked these things. So, once the guns are out of ammo, the first thing that happens is the AI combat controller, the main one, turns off. Then it arms the warheads. Then it turns on the AI behavior for ramming, which is set up how you'd set up missiles. So, attack pattern intercept, it will just drive straight into the enemy with the armed warhead, so hopefully it does some exploding damage. So okay, that stuff should all be good. I also have, so the docking system, sort of as you would expect, except for this little guy. So this is what I call the launch timer. Whenever I disconnect the connector, it starts that launch timer. I think it also, basically, when I disconnect the connector, this thruster fires, it's set to an override, and that timer turns it off. So that thruster will just push for like 2 seconds, pushing the drone away from the hull of the ship before the AI stuff all kicks on and it does its flying thing. So yeah, this guy should be ready. Let's re-blueprint it.
Low health.
Alright. Now, Well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully... Oh, I guess I need to set up the pistons real quick. Hopefully... this will all print out in one go. There might be some components I'm missing. I don't know. I'll probably set up an inventory managing script to make sure everything is, available. But just to see what happens, let's go. Okay, start pistons. We may be moving a little too fast. Yeah. Okay, we didn't quite get welded there. That is the
Energy
danger
low.
of this sort of thing. Do we have enough? I should have checked how much of it was built, because the thing will show. Oh yeah, we have no thrusters, most of the warheads. We didn't build the battery. I don't even think it has... Yeah, it's only got one of the AI controllers. Okay. Well... Yep, those are off. That didn't work, but the concept is sound. Guess I'll grind this thing away. Oh yeah. No battery. Most of those aren't done. I think it was just moving too quickly to actually place everything. Okay. I think I've gotten most of the stuff that was probably missing built. Actual components. I've lowered the speed of the pistons. Let's try this again. Okay, it's moving much slower. That's good. Okay, batteries built. That's good. Waiting for turrets. There's one, there's two. Okay. It's a little jittery, which isn't good, but let's real quick. All blocks built. Sweet. Can turn off the merge block. Pistons will continue on their merry way, and we have ourselves one drone. Oh. My antenna's off. Yeah. Off it goes. Sweet. So I'd say that is some pretty good progress. We now have, well, a carrier as opposed to just a battleship, which is kind of exciting, and we have some little drone buddies to carry on it. We can produce them all. I will, I guess, get all of them produced and outfitted in the interim, and then next week we go and try round 2 or 3, round whatever against the Factorum. But that's all for later. For now, thank you everybody so much for watching. Feel free to check out any of the other stuff I've done, and until next week, bye bye.